Well, hey guys, welcome back to Waters Family Homestead. So I've discussed my well not running off the inverter situation with a couple of friends, and I don't know why, and I actually thought of it, but I don't know why I didn't say this earlier. I need to check that control box and make sure the capacitor and all that in there is still good, because with the grid power, it's got unlimited, pretty much limited by the size of the breaker, to start that pump and let it strain. But what, we change capacitors a lot on heating and air refrigeration. That regulates the amount of amperage, basically, or voltage that's going to a motor. And when one gets weak, the motor a lot of times will still start and run, but it strains a lot more. It uses more voltage. So eventually it'll just get where it won't start. And that's a possibility, is why it won't run on my off-grid, is that it's straining too much, and that this capacitor, this start control box, is getting weak. So one of the projects I've had planned, I wasn't going to start right now. I was going to wait till the weather was a little bit warmer, but was to take this pump house and cut it in half, because it's 4 foot by 8 foot, and the back 4x4 is my old dog's house. So when I have the light on in here for heat, it goes through a hole cut in the top of the wall that separates the two. So he has some heat over on his side of the doghouse without having to run two lights. And, because heat's going to rise anyway, and it's going to leave the building. At least I gave it a path to where he could utilize that heat, and it'd warm his doghouse up. And it actually worked pretty doggone well, y'all. It warmed it up about 20 degrees inside his doghouse. Well, I had two pit bulls back then, a male and a female, and both of them used this house for a little while, but it really got too warm for them most of the time, and they wouldn't even go in there unless it was really, really cold. But either way, I don't want that anymore. I've put a light in Sparky's doghouse over there. He's got what I call the condominium, the big house, and plenty of room for him and a couple more. But I put a black light in there, so it's not so bright, but yet it put off a lot of heat for him, and he seems to like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start tearing this well pump house down, take it apart. I don't want to tear it down. I want to take it apart, salvage the materials, so I can rebuild a new pump house, hopefully in similar style than what's here. And save the metal, save as much of the siding and the 2x and all that stuff that I can, build one a little bit better, and bring my faucet through the wall like I have now. The faucet that comes off the well needs replacing. I think I've got one in my plumbing bag. I'll have to look for it, but I don't want to fool with that until I can get this off and out of the way. And we've got one more night that's forecasted for 29 or 30 degrees. And typically after that, for a whole week, we're up in the upper 60s and the 70s. So I'm not going to worry about one night of 30 something degrees. If I have to bring an old blanket or something out here and wrap around my filter and stuff, I will, to keep it from freezing. But it's not going to be that cold long enough for this thing to really freeze. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go ahead and start now, while I got off just a little bit early today. Knocked off about 45 minutes early. I'm gonna go ahead and start taking this metal off and see what I can do about dismantling this. I may not finish it today, but I'm gonna switch the camera to, I forget what they call it. Good Lord. I don't even see the option anymore. They made so many changes with it. Let's see if it'll let me. I don't know what this is, so. All right, I have to come back to it. All right, guys. So I got the metal off the roof, the decking off the roof, a little bit of the side here and the front side. The door off. Hinges are still here, but I got to take this side off to get them without having to cut my faucet. I did turn the water off just in case, and I just cracked it open because if a line gets broke or something in this process, I don't want it flooding everywhere. But I'm gonna go get my dumpster, what we call a hobo, and get up all my old filters and that mess and clean up, throw some trash away, and keep taking it apart. It's not hard, it just takes time. I don't remember how long it took me to build this thing. Probably one evening before my stroke, but whatever. Looks like I needed to do some. All the boards have gotten wet on the end, but up in the structural, I haven't had any leaks whatsoever. So I had one screw here that the head rusted out on. All the rest of them came right out. So far, so good. I don't remember how many gallon tank that bladder tank holds. Let's see what it says. 32 gallons. So, you know, that's not a lot. But there is a bunch of old filters back behind the tank. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Well, I count at least 28 old filters laying in here. And I threw a bunch away last year. So I go through this is a filters down. It says 1 micron, but I believe it's actually about 4. But it's a carbon filter. It's a whole house water filter. They don't recommend you put them out in the elements, but I did this at every house I've ever had. I put the, it's in the little building, so it's not in my house. But either way, it works really well. You can bypass it, which I never do because this well has way too much sand, or turn it off. But I just use, the ball valve to turn the water on and off and relieve the pressure. Unscrew it, change the filter, rinse it out, put the new filter in and screw it back on there, and then turn the water back on, and it's good to go. It literally takes about 2 minutes, maybe less. But either way, let me get up. I got a lot of spare plumbing parts in there, ball valve and stuff. The glue's probably no good, but I see that faucet quit leaking, which is a good thing. I figured it might fill up with sand before it was over with, because I filled my filter completely full of sand when I drained that tank the other day. So I probably need to flush the tank out. That'll help the well run less, and then I can check the air pressure on the bladder tank, make sure I've got the right amount of pressure, and then turn the well back on and fill it back up. So it probably wouldn't hurt to do that. A lot of people pour bleach down their well about once a year, and that'll help kill bacteria that grows up and down in the well and all that. I have done that in the past, but I don't want to do that unless I've actually got the well, a bucket of water up here. So if I poured bleach down that well, a lot of people say you get an old contaminated well that's not been used, it hasn't been being, worked with. Pour bleach down it, let it set for a week or so, and then go back and flush it with some fresh water, and then try it again and see how the bacteria is. A lot of times the bleach will kill a lot of the bacteria that builds up over time. And as long as the well is used, you never have an issue with it. But I haven't done that on this well. I don't remember ever putting bleach in it. I may have years ago, but it's about 12 and a half years old, something like that. And I've never had to have it pulled. I've never had to change the bladder tank. Knock on wood, I don't need no more problems. I think I have replaced the pressure switch once or twice, possibly the control box. But either way, it is time to clean it up and get a better pump house, because this one actually hangs off the front of the concrete slab that the tank and all is sitting on, and I don't want the new one to hang off. So if I leave it this way, I may frame it up and pour a couple bags of concrete there to finish sealing it up. But the concrete does go further back. And this is what I was talking about, that divider wall. If y'all can look inside here, you see there's a hole in the wall over here. And so as the heat rose from the light bulb, keeping the well house warm, the heat would roll over into the back half, which helped keep my dogs warm. And they seem to really enjoy it. There's really not much damage in here. They chewed on some 2x4s a little bit, but that female pit I had chewed on everything. So my boy pit never did. But I tell you what he would do. He would take his nose and open up we used to have a toy box outside for the grandkids. He would lift the lid on that toy box and reach in and get some of the grandkids' outside toys and take it to her, and she'd chew it up and destroy it. And a few days later, because I've got the camera system, you've seen it's like, where'd she get that? You go back and watch the video. he's getting her toys. He didn't ever tear them up, but she sure did. But anywho, I barely got it on. There we go. So this cutoff valve works for this faucet and the whole line going to both waterers in the chicken pens and the faucet down I put at the barn. So if I turn this off, none of that gets water. And then I've got another cutoff valve at the faucet down at that end, and I'm pretty sure I put one down here by the last faucet. I'm not 100% on that though. Either way, I've got plenty of them. I just probably didn't do it. So I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna shut up, go get my dumpster, and start cleaning this mess up. All right, guys, I dropped my microphone while I was taking all this apart and didn't realize I recorded about 2 or 3 minutes and went, okay, no sound. The microphone was laying on the ground and it was off. So I put it back on. But what I was saying was this roof rafter or truss, I don't know what you call this, the end board. I do know, I just can't think of it. And the ridge beam and this one here are full 8 foot long. So I can't take them off until I get everything else off of it. But I've got all 3 of the side walls, the siding, the OSB off, the front door hinges, all the rafters for the front end. It's all over there in a pile. So I've got to finish taking the dog house part apart, getting the rest of the OSB off and all that, because the OSB screws to the rafters and the trusses and all, but it also screws to the wall, so it's holding it all together until I get the OSB off. But I've been at it 40 All right, guys, I had to pull the mic back out of my pocket. I've got to go find a T20 or 25, the next smaller bit down than this one here. I can't even see what it is. Oh, that's Phillips. That's why I'm brilliant like that, y'all. All right, this is a T25, so I got to go find a T20 to fit, because I used T20 on all that siding back there, and instead of Phillips screws. All the rest of it was Phillips. Did it at 2 separate times, I think. But anywho, that's where I'm at. We're going to call it a stopping point on this part, and I'll finish it another day. All right, guys. I finally got me a T20 bit. I got the siding taken off the left side of the old doghouse and the right side. I've still got to do the back side, which was their entrance. And it looks like Phillips screws on the middle one. So, because the doghouse was really added to it. You know, last minute type deal. So, I've got to get, I'm taking these boards loose. Like that one's all, this one's almost loose. I got some screws through the siding holding it. So I'm taking all this apart, and I'm probably going to leave this wall right here to just use it to, you know, for the existing pump house, but just make it a little bit better, do away with the doghouse side of it. That's the whole idea. Still don't know if I'm going to make the pump house taller or what. I'm definitely, when I put the roof back on, it's going to be set where it can just set in place, and I can put in like 4 screws to hold it in place. And if I need to ever pull the well or do anything like that, you take them 4 screws out, or 2, or however many it is, and the whole roof can be picked up with 2 people and set off over on the ground out of the way. So that's the way I want the roof done this time. That way, if I have a problem with that well, you know, I'll be able to get to it to pull it if I need to. So, doghouse is about halfway gone. I've got to do this side over here, the OSB, and then finish taking all the 2x loose, unscrewing all them, get that decking up, and of course there's framing under the decking. So still got a little bit more to do, but I'm working on it. And when I'm done, I don't know how long the video will be, but I'll put all my parts together and hope it turns out and looks okay. All right, guys, that's gonna have to do it for today. And sun setting in about 10 minutes, and with the overcast we've got, it looks bright on camera, but it's gonna be too dark to see in about 10 minutes. And I'm tired, so it's gonna be it for today. Not forecasted really any rain this weekend, so I'm hoping to get this thing completely finished. I dropped the rafter in the hole. I'm hoping to be completely finished with the pump house this weekend. You know, the wiring part I got done already. So I've just got to get the siding put on. Whether the walls are going to be taller or not, I don't know yet. And the roof built. So it shouldn't be too hard. I'm just going to reuse most of what I've already used and taken off. I just got to get this doghouse part off. So these studs that are standing are screwed on the sill plate at the bottom up. So I got to take that wall loose in order to get them studs off all the way around right there. So that's fine. I only had to break 1 screw, and it's sticking off the top right there. It's the only one I couldn't get to come out. They back up so it won't be blurry. But anyway, everything else is done. Got to get that decking up, get them walls down, and take the frame up for the floor. And that part will be gone. Hopefully I won't find anything, any creatures or anything under there that I really don't want to have to deal with. But it is what it is. They got to find a new home. So anyway, I'll try to finish this video tomorrow. We've got men's group for church tomorrow morning, bright and early. We finish, you know, 11 o'clock, something like that. So it's 9 to 11, just a couple hours. You know, some of the guys, sometimes I help, but not tomorrow. But we get there and we cook breakfast early and all that. And it's just going to be at the church tomorrow. So I'll get that, and then I'll get back around lunchtime and get back on this thing. Hopefully if the weather allows it, and it's supposed to. So we'll see. But hopefully in the next clip, y'all will see the doghouse gone, and or some time lapse or something of me finishing it, taking it off, and then start building the pump house. All right, guys, I have not filmed any putting it back together because I didn't really build it. I just disassembled it, took the doghouse part off, and then put it back together. So, of course, you know, didn't go back together perfect, but I've got to finish the soffit vents over here, close up both sides, and the hole around the faucet, and a couple of other old holes. I'm gonna screw a board on the inside and take a can of spray foam and seal up any other cracks and holes I see. That big vent that fed from the pump house into the dog house is gone, so I just reused the boards I already had. But it's come together decent. I mean, once I get the metal roof on it tomorrow and close those vents up, and I got a piece of board screwed over the door because I got to cut a new door and, you know, get the hinges and the lock and all that put on it. So there's still quite a bit left to do, sealing it up. And I've decided I'm going to do the concrete on the front edge just because there's too many pipes exposed if I slide the building back. So, anywho, I'm almost done with it. That piece is just laying back there up against it. The old doghouse floor. So I left a good, you know, 4 or 5 inch overhang all the way around. Just got to close up these old drilled holes where I had water lines come through at one time, and the front corner, I mean the side corner back there where the old faucet hose and all came through. Seal up around the new faucet, get the door on, get the soffit closed in. And I know this part of the board really should have been replaced, but there's metal going over that, so it'll be okay. Just thought I'd show y'all the almost finished product. I'll show you tomorrow when I finish, hopefully tomorrow. And hey, like I say, it's just a pump house. I just want it a little bit better sealed up than the one that, you know, that was here before with the doghouse and all on it. There's no need in me having that. So, anywho, appreciate y'all watching. Oh, one more thing. See, I did get the receptacles put in on front and back, and I got the cover on it, and I got the thermal cube plugged in, doghouse and the chickens. It's actually the same cord I ran to the chickens before, but now I've got 2 plugs, you know, down here. So I've got to get one for the pump house, but I think we're done with the below freezing temps for the year. So I've got time to get that and get it plugged in and cord ran through and all that good stuff. We'll see. All right, guys. I plugged the old water hose hole on this side. I plugged the old pipe where I ran the pipe through over here, up top and at the bottom from the inside with a little block. Y'all should have seen me doing that. I screwed it from the inside, then from the outside, then took the screw back out from the inside so it ain't sticking out of the building. I got the latch back on. I dropped one of the screws, couldn't find it, but I don't want to put long sheetrock screws because it'll go all the way through and it'll snag me or somebody every time we open that door. So I need to put a little piece of trim on the inside, you know, OSB, whatever, just so the door closes up against it. But that's a little bitty crack considering I'm going to pour concrete down here and spray foam around some of these other cracks and stuff. It's going to be plenty warm for the well. First of all, if the well's running, it produces quite a bit of warmth. Secondly, I've closed up both ends, gable ends, or I don't know what you call that, between the rafters on both sides. Y'all saw me do that first. So now all I've got left to do is to go get my metal out from over there and start screwing it back down to the roof. And pretty much it's done. It's doesn't have near the holes that it had to begin with, especially with that 4x10 hole at the top of the wall here into the old doghouse. So a lot of the heat was going out there. Now that's gone, plus a lot of the other holes are gone. So I think I'm going to take some leftover OSB. I got to get my skill saw out, but cut that rotten edge off over there and replace it, and then put the metal on. So other than that, it'll be done for now, unless I can find my spray foam and I have time. I don't know. Sun's setting right now, so I've got about 15 or 20 minutes of daylight left. So, and it's supposed to rain in a couple of days. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that metal roof put on first before I do anything else. All right, guys. Whew. It's not pretty. Wasn't trying to be pretty. I want it to actually look old and rustic, which pretty easy to do when you're using old tin and old OSB. But either way, the door's functional. Every hole I could seal up is sealed up with except spray foam. I got to come back and do that. But the roof, you know, I used old tin, cut it. It's overlapped by 6 or 8 inches. It's not going to leak. I didn't have a problem with it leaking before. The metal comes all the way up within an inch of each other up at the very top. With the slope I've got on that thing, it just never leaked before. It's not going to leak now. And I actually overhung the metal just a little bit more than I did last time, hoping to save that OSB from getting wet on the end and rotting like it did. So I'm done with it except for spray foam. I'll just do that another time because I'm running out of daylight and I don't have a light in there right now. I haven't went and bought the light for the heat lamp yet, so I don't have a light inside, and I'm not going to start that right this minute. But she's done enough. I think I'm going to leave that crack at the top edge of the door, and that is for 2 reasons. One, it doesn't make sense to put a little piece of trim across there. It's just a pump house. Second, it's going to let me see the light shining through that crack at night. That's when it gets cold down here in South Georgia. So I'm going to know that my light is actually on, because once I seal up all the other cracks and holes, there's no way to know that that light bulb's not blown. And I've ran into that before. I'm like, that light's supposed to be on because it wasn't lit up. I couldn't see it through the holes. Come down and the bulb was blown. I had to change it. So that's something you do have to, monitor and take care of. But I've got power outside. The thermal cube is there for the chickens and the dog. I've got a new thermal cube that's supposed to be delivered tomorrow or either Wednesday. I probably won't get it till Wednesday. And of course, tonight's supposed to get down to around 31, 32. So it's fine. It's not cold enough for it to actually freeze. It's not going to be in those temps long enough here to matter. Plus, I've still got the pour of concrete on this side, up under. So it's okay. It's done. I've got a lot of cord left over from where I had it ran before at the other end of the chicken pen and over. And I'm only using one long 100-foot cord and one 25-foot cord, where before I was running 200-foot cords and two 25-foot cords to warm everything up. So I've cut my extension cord use in half and really kind of got it out of the way from where I had to walk under it when I was feeding every day. I won't be coming this way much. The goat pen's going to stop right there. So it's not going to be a big deal. I'll probably bury wire it sometime, but not right now. Got enough expenses going on right now. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope it didn't bore you to death. Hope you see how easy it is to actually build something like this. It's not that complicated. And of course, Sweet Pea wants to check it out. But I got a lot of cleanup left to do. That's going to wait for another day because it's going to be too dark to see in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to take the rest of that apart as best I can and save what lumber I can. There's no need to throw it away. But either way, guys, I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much for watching. Leave me a comment. Don't be mean about it, guys. It's just a pump house. And, if I wanted it to be pretty, I'd buy siding like that, masonite siding on the house and, have somebody professional do it. I'm not worried about that. What I want to do is keep it out of the weather and make it to where my heat lamp will run less so that I don't have to produce extra power with all the heat escaping from that pump house. So it's going to save me, once I am transitioned over to the off-grid, it's going to save me from having to produce a little bit more in the wintertime. And that was kind of the whole purpose of the thing. So thank y'all for watching. Remember what I always tell you. Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe. Be prepared.